Crash! The crimson sky spun, a sickening carousel. Captain Eva Rostova gasped, pain lancing through her leg. Her eyes focused on the wreckage, metal twisted like a child's discarded toy. No survivors, except a groaning sound. Eva saw him, sprawled amidst the debris, a Xylar. Tall, skeletal, with skin like polished obsidian. His breathing was ragged, one arm twisted at an unnatural angle. His kind had nearly destroyed Earth. Now, here he was, helpless, just like her. Eva unbuckled, ignoring the throbbing pain. Every movement sent fire through her leg. She grabbed a medkit, crawling towards the Xylar. His three-fingered hand twitched, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. "Don't!" Eva croaked. Her throat felt like sandpaper. Need to help you," the Xylar hissed, baring sharp teeth. "Human, why?" Eva met his gaze, her own fear battling with something unexpected. Pity. "We're both stranded," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "We're both going to die out here. Alone." The Xylar, whose name Eva later learned was Kale, hissed again, a sound full of distrust. He watched her with wary golden eyes as she examined his broken limb. Zuran 9's gravity was unforgiving, twice that of Earth's. The fall alone should have killed him. "Don't touch me!" Kyle snarled, his voice a raspy whisper. "Let me die." Eva ignored him. This close she could see the fear beneath his hostility. He wasn't a monster, not really, just another being fighting for survival. "Stop being stupid," Eva retorted, injecting him with a painkiller. "Dying's easy, living, that takes guts." Kale went still, his eyes narrowed. "You are different," he finally said, his voice softer now. "Humans are ruthless." "Maybe," Eva conceded, carefully splinting his arm, "but we can also surprise you." The painkillers made Kale drowsy. He drifted in and out of consciousness as Eva set his broken bone. She worked quickly, efficiently, years of emergency training taking over. Outside, the wind howled, a constant reminder of their precarious situation. "Why?" Kale slurred, his eyes half closed. "Why help me?" Eva paused, wiping sweat from her brow. The question hung in the air, heavy and unspoken. She didn't have an answer, not one that made sense. Maybe it was the shared fear, the stark reality of their predicament. Or maybe, just maybe, it was something more. "Because it's the right thing to do," Eva finally said, meeting his gaze. "Because even enemies deserve a fighting chance." A flicker of something crossed Kale's face. Gratitude? Surprise? He closed his eyes, his breathing evening out. For the first time since the crash, Eva allowed herself a sliver of hope. They might actually survive this, together. The crash had ruptured their water purifier. Eva rationed what little they salvaged, the silence broken only by the hiss of the wind. Zuran 9 was a harsh mistress, all volcanic rock and razor-sharp canyons. Survival meant reaching the abandoned mining outpost, 2 days' trek across the treacherous landscape. "Your planet, beautiful," Kyle rasped one evening, sipping water cautiously. Eva, surprised, looked up from checking her makeshift crutch. "You've been there?" "Once," he admitted. "Before the war, before everything changed." They didn't speak of the conflict that had torn their worlds apart. Instead, under the alien sky, they traded stories. Eva spoke of Earth's oceans, of sunsets that painted the sky in 1,000 hues. Kyle described Xylar's shimmering forests, the bioluminescent flora that lit up the night. The stories, shared in hushed tones, were a bridge across the chasm of their differences, a reminder that they were not so different after all. The climb was grueling. Eva, her leg a constant source of pain, relied on Kale's strength. He, in turn, depended on her ingenuity. She splintered his arm with scavenged metal, fashioned a sling from torn fabric. Trust, born of necessity, blossomed between them. "Hold on," Kale grunted, hauling Eva up a particularly treacherous cliff face. "Just need a minute," she gasped, her lungs burning. They reached a ledge, collapsing side by side, chests heaving. Below them, the canyon yawned, a dizzying drop. Eva laughed, a shaky sound, a mixture of relief and disbelief. "We actually did it," Kale nodded, a rare smile touching his lips. "We did, human, we did." Zuran 9 was known for its sudden, violent storms. They found shelter in a shallow cave as the sky turned a sickly green. The wind howled like a banshee, pelting the entrance with razor-sharp sand. Huddled together for warmth, they ate their meager rations in silence. The storm raged for hours, a symphony of destruction. Yet within the confines of their makeshift shelter, there was a strange sense of peace. They had faced death together, and in doing so found something unexpected. "Thank you," Cale said, his voice barely audible above the storm's fury. "For everything." Ava nodded, her throat tight. Words seemed inadequate. They had come so far, these two beings from different worlds, bound by circumstance, united by their will to survive. The storm abated as quickly as it had begun. Dawn painted the sky in hues of orange and gold, a stark contrast to the previous night's fury. The air was clear, the silence almost deafening. Ava emerged from the cave, blinking in the unexpected light. Cale followed, his gaze sweeping the horizon. "The outpost," he said, pointing to a distant cluster of buildings. "We're almost there." There was a new note in his voice. Hope. Ava felt it too, a fragile thing, easily crushed. "We'll send out a distress signal," Ava said, more to herself than Cale. "Someone will find us." "And then?" Cale asked, his golden eyes searching hers. Ava hesitated. What then? They would go their separate ways, back to their own kind, back to the conflict that had brought them together in the first place. The thought left a bitter taste in her mouth. She met Cale's gaze, her own answer surprising even herself. And then, "We'll see." The mining outpost was deserted, stripped bare by scavengers. Still, it offered shelter, a working comm system. Eva managed to send out a distress signal, a beacon in the vast emptiness of space. Now, they waited. Days turned into weeks. They explored the surrounding area, foraging for supplies, sharing stories under the alien sky. The more time they spent together, the more the line between enemy and ally blurred. One evening, while repairing the outpost's solar panels, Cale turned to Eva, his expression unreadable. If a Xyla ship comes first," he began, then stopped. Eva held his gaze. "And if a human ship arrives before that?" Cale looked away towards the horizon where the crimson sun dipped below the jagged peaks. "There will be questions," he finally said, his voice low. Eva nodded, understanding settling heavily in her heart. Their fragile truce wouldn't survive the return to their respective civilizations. They both knew it. A ship appeared in the sky a week later. Not human, nor Xylar, an independent freighter responding to their distress signal. As they boarded the ship, looking back at the shrinking form of Zuran 9, a sense of melancholy settled over them. "Where will you go?" Eva asked, her voice barely audible above the thrum of the engines. Cale shrugged, his expression unreadable. "The galaxy is vast. There are places." He hesitated, then added, "Perhaps our paths will cross again, human." Eva smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Perhaps," she echoed, a sliver of hope blooming in her chest. Zuran 9 had brought them together, two enemies stranded in a hostile world. It had tested them, broken them, and ultimately forged a bond stronger than either could have imagined. As the freighter jumped to hyperspace, leaving the crimson sky behind, both Eva and Cale knew one thing for certain. They were leaving Zuran 9, but Zuran 9 would never truly leave them. The experience, the shared struggle for survival, had changed them. And in that change lay the possibility for something new, something unexpected. A fragile hope for a future where enemies could become allies, where differences could be bridged. One shared story, one act of kindness at a time.